What's up, everybody? It's Polo here,
I'm PoloTail.
and welcome back to PoloTail. So today we're going to be talking about the rise and fall of the greats, such as Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco. So let's start with Fall Out Boys because Fall Out Boy started in 2002 with the great album "Take This to Your Grave."
I have to admit, I didn't really get into Fall Out Boy much until I was in middle school, so I'm gonna leave most of the early stuff to you, and then when I get to the later stuff, I can start talking about that.
Or the later stuff is the bad stuff, in my opinion, or at least the less good stuff.
We'll get to that.
Yes. So let's see. I'm just looking at because I don't know this music well enough to do it on top of my head. So "Take This to Your Grave" came out in 2013, and I don't know it well enough to talk about all of them, but they had some really great songs on there, such as "Grand Theft Autumn," and that's literally the only one I know. And "Grenade Jumper." "Grenade Jumper" is really good.
Tell me about him.
Well, uh, they're just good songs. They're just It's got that classic Fall Out Boy sound, the really awesome guitars,
Like
Patrick's
that.
amazing voice. Yeah.
That's another thing. Like
Guitar.
just
I miss guitars.
me too. I miss when like bass guitar,
Mm.
drums, vocals. That was it. I
Lead
miss that.
rhythm.
Yeah, I miss that.
I miss like the My Chemical Romance. Just get off topic quick. Had the best setup. They had Ray and Frank, Mikey, Gerard, and whatever drummer they had at the time because they couldn't seem to hold down a drum.
Yeah.
But the point is, that's all you need.
Yeah, that's all you really need for that classic like emo rock sound,
Yeah, and then there's
or
the
any
part
rock
in
sound.
Panic at the Disco where it's just Brendan.
Doing all of them, yes,
Except when he's on stage, he has people.
that he pays. Yeah. Anyway, back to Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, back to Fall Out Boy. So there's amazing tracks like Chicago, not Chicago, shit. Uh, Where Is Your Boy or Grand Theft Autumn with which is an amazing song. Which leads to Where is your boy tonight? I hope he is a gentleman. And that, but this was like in this album you could hear me out, actually understand what Patrick was saying most of the time.
Yeah, one of the things about Fall Out Boy is they really attempt. Yeah, they're notorious for like really like way far out their lyrics. Sometimes like don't make any sense at all.
That
So
and they're also notorious for not being able to understand Patrick.
you mean like
Scene, it's a goddamn ray.
yeah,
Or is
see
someone
what you
so
mean.
eloquently, but this a ski ish a goddamn ray.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like I see that with a lot of bands, like especially ones that will last this long. The the lead vocalist, just like kind of lose grip of like what it means to be a vocalist. They start, but like even if they continue to be good artists and like the fame is like they're taking it all in stride,
Yeah.
the fame still gets to their head a little bit, and they don't like think about their performances as much, and it comes out in their performances.
If you watch, I think that was why MCR broke up, is that they were like, we don't want this to happen to us.
Yeah, that sounds right, and it's
That was
yeah,
one of the reasons, I know.
yeah,
I remember George saying it wasn't fun anymore.
yeah, and that's the whole point of being an entertainer. You're supposed to be having fun.
Yeah, but we'll talk about the MCR. The MCR breakup is a whole episode on its own.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
So, back to Fall Out Boy. Enough from Take This to Your Grave, because I don't know the album well enough to talk about it competently. So, then there's a few other just stuff. And then, in 2005, they released my favorite Fall Out Boy album, and one of the best albums from any band ever, From Under the Cork Tree. Holy crap, this album. Every track is amazing. My personal favorite is Sophomore Slump or Comeback of the Year.
Tell me about it. What's that one about?
The lyrics is there's just one line that I really love, which is "We're the therapist pumping through your speakers, delivering just what you need." And that's
I remember, yeah, we were talking about that. How like, the whole point of this whole genre, the emo style of music, was like that was kind of the purpose.
is to be the therapist for
Yeah,
can't get a therapist.
yeah, because they realize, we have problems, and this is how we deal with them. Maybe this will help you deal with them.
And some people would love to say that "Sugar We're Going Down" is such a profound song. It's not. "Sugar We're Going Down" is that guy's fucking you, but I want to fuck you.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's all that song is about. That song is about Patrick wanting to fuck someone.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him to write a song like that.
Yeah, I love
It's
Patrick.
Patrick.
Patrick is a good boy.
But what album is that from? That's from
From Under the Cork Tree.
Oh,
"Sugar We're
really?
Going Down" is from Under the Cork Tree.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow, that song is way older than I thought it was.
Yeah. That is like the Fall Out Boy song too.
Huh. Wow. Okay, I just learned something new.
Yeah. And after that, they had stuff, and then they had "Infinity on High" in 2007. Which has some really great songs with some amazing titles, which is one of my favorites is this. I love this title is "Don't You Know Who I Think I Am."
Is this the album with like the really long obscure names
Oh, all
that you
of
were telling me about?
From Under the Cork Tree was worse about that.
Paul and I were actually talking about this a few days ago, or I think last week.
Yeah.
How we just like it was really endearing back when like it was around that time, like 2000, early 2000s, where bands would give their songs like obscenely long names. Like what was the one you mentioned? Some of the ones from Fall Out Boy.
One of our lawyer made us change the name of this song so we wouldn't get sued. One of my "Get Busy Living" or "Get Busy Dying." Do your part to save the scene and stop going to shows. They have a song that is this title is 2 whole sentences.
And there's Panic too with titles like "There's a Reason the Tables Are Numbered, Honey. You Just Haven't Thought of It Yet," or what was the other one?
The only difference between martyrdom and suicide is
Press coverage.
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called.
Something like that.
Yeah. But no, back to Fall Out Boy, "Infinity on High" is an amazing album. Like my favorite track on there that I can remember how it goes is probably either Thanks for the Memories. So
Thanks for the memories.
it was supposed to be "Thanks for the Memories," but their person was like, "That's too long," and so they got rid of all the vowels.
That's too long. Oh my goodness. Well,
But either that or "This Ain't a Scene, It's an Arms Race," which is an amazing song.
yeah, I know "Thanks for the Memories" like is one of my favorite Fall Out Boy songs. I know it's like one of the big ones, but it kind of sticks with me because it's catchy.
I would cover "Fully I Do," but I don't know this song. I don't know this album.
Yeah, I don't know it much either.
I know "I Don't Care," and that's it.
I don't know that one.
We should listen. I don't care what you think as long as it's about me. It's a great album.
That's definitely Patrick.
Yeah. So now we're on to your Aerobics week, which is out 2013. Save Rock and Roll.
Oh.
When they came back. I don't like
Save Rock and Roll was like the first Fall Out Boy album that I listened to, and I don't care if you don't like it. I was like absolutely obsessed with it. I love
it. I just think it's not as good as the old stuff, or it's so different that it upsets me.
That might be what our difference of opinion is because you're used to the old sound and you're used to that bias. So I didn't have that bias going into it, and so I loved the sound. But
yeah, the thing is, I didn't grow up listening to Fall Out. I was fucking 3 years old when the first Fall Out Boy album came out. Like I had no idea what a Fall Out Boy was.
What's a Fallout? What
Yeah.
What does a boy have to do with it? Why is this poor boy like in a band?
Why did this boy fall?
Yeah, exactly.
Fall? Why
is he okay?
Talking? Does everybody have a chemical romance? Not anymore.
Oh, that was Ouch!
I'm
Ouch!
sorry.
That was mean.
You damn kids with your falling boys, and panics, discos, and romantic chemicals. Well, we ran out of romantic chemicals.
We're about to run out of panicky discos too.
At least we still have our falling boys. You want to support a
Anyway,
Fall Out Boy cover band called Descent Lad?
Descent Lad. I like that. I really like. So Save Rock and Roll.
Mm.
Uh,
Everyone knows this album.
yeah, it was like massive. I remember it coming out. Like my friend who was like super into Fall Out Boy was like, "Hey, listen to this." I was like, "Okay," and I did,
Okay.
and yeah, just like songs like "Alone Together," "Young Volcanoes." Those songs just really hit me hard. Like "Alone Together" hit me because I just gone through a really bad breakup, and it was like I want
I should
to
give
do
this
that.
another chance because
Yeah,
this album is a lot more pop than I would like.
yeah, and that makes sense. Young Volcanoes, I guess, is the same way, but at the same time, it's like it hit me because it my friend and I would listen to it together, and it's like that's us, like
Yeah.
that's us. We're gonna do that,
My
and
songs "Know What You Did in the Dark" is the most overrated Fall Out Boy song.
I can completely agree with you there. Although I don't think. Oh wait, no, that is from this album.
Yeah, it's not a bad song. It's just not
It
that great.
it's it's okay.
It's the thing is that has become Fall Out Boy's distinct sound, which is like this kind of not exactly anthemic, but kind of like a victor, like a march, like a victory kind of thing. They make hype music now.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, instead of like um, you know, in your face, like
Yeah.
this is us music. Um,
Right, 12 minutes. All right, we need to slow down. Well, we still have Panic, but we're still gonna cover Panic, so we're good.
yeah,
Do
I'm
you want to
assuming
move
you're gonna edit
on?
that out.
Do you want to move on to American Beauty, American Psycho, or do you want to keep talking about Save Rock and Roll?
Uh, American Beauty and American Psycho is the next album that I listened to actually.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
next album that came out. I will admit to liking a few tracks on this, but to me, this just isn't Fall Out Boy.
I listened to this album like on a CD, and we have like really popular songs that got on the radio like Uma Thurman and Centuries and
Centuries is actually
Immortals.
really overrated.
Uh, see, here's like the thing. I also really I like Novocaine,
I love
and
Novocaine.
Uma Thurman is funny. It's really entertaining. Like it's hype music, but it's not Fall Out Boy. Like
Yeah,
it's
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 the Fall Out Boy
Patrick.
that we want. It's Pat. That. Yes, it's Patrick. It's not Fall Out Boy.
Yes,
Because
I
Pete and I can't remember the rest of their names. They didn't have like anything to do on stage during these songs.
and like you can just tell like there's not really any influence from them. Like
Mm-hmm.
it you because the lyrics just start getting weirder and weirder.
Remember me for centuries, not remember us for centuries.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
um,
And also, Patrick, I'm gonna be dead ass with you. No one's gonna remember you in like another 30 years.
Yikes. I do have to say, when Centuries came on the radio for the first time, the sample that is da, 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 yeah,
That.
I recognize that from like a song I listened to on the radio back in like 2005
Yeah.
or something like that. What is that from? I don't remember what that's from.
I've heard it too. My dad played it for me once because when he heard Centuries, he was like, "Hold on," and he showed me the song. I was like, "Yeah, they just stole that."
Now, obviously
I'm sure
they
they did
would
for
license it,
reals, but
yeah, but like it was when I heard it, I was like,
that's not
what?
that's not Patrick.
Yeah, that's not Patrick. What'd you say?
I knocked my microphone over.
Oops. Okay, you got some editing to do.
Nah,
Nice.
It's going in raw.
We're going raw. Alrighty.
All right, so
Okay.
I'll talk about a track on this real quick. A song I really like is, like I said, I hate to admit this, I actually really like this album.
American Beauty, American Psycho.
Yeah, as an album, I don't like it as a Fall Out Boy album, but as an album, it's a bop.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's really fun to sing. Irresistible is really cool. American Beauty, American Psycho is so much fun to sing. Centuries is an overrated song that I really don't like.
I normally like the whole idea of like reusing, like finding samples and like building off of inspiration from that.
Mm-hmm.
That's something like as a producer myself, like that's something I find really fascinating.
Yeah.
Like it's because it's so like hard to do, but when you do it, like it makes a really unique twist. But yeah, it feels like.
In rock, it feels like you're stealing.
Yeah.
All right, a song. Here is my favorite song of this album. The Kids Aren't All Right. I love this song. I love this song.
Have to say I don't remember it, but you know, I do think it's a funny title.
Yeah, that song is just good. I think it's about depression. I could be wrong.
I'll have to check it out. But there's the tracks that I find the most memorable are like Uma Thurman, Novocaine, and Immortals.
Immortals is decent.
Immortals I like because it was like exactly the style of Save Rock and Roll, which is, you know, my first experience with Fall Out Boy.
Hot take: Mania is garbage. I hate Mania.
Okay, is that the next album that they released?
That's the most recent album.
I didn't listen to all of it in full, but I know that Young and Menace I really enjoyed because it was their like pre-release track. I listened to it. It was cool. And also the purple aesthetic is really cool, and I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Don't at me.
It's not Fall Out Boy.
I listened to some of the other things, and like they really started to weird me out. Like I just didn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. Yeah, that was the point where I was like, it's just, you know, it's not what I expected from them. It's not what I, being a fan, it's hard to say, you know, it's not what I wanted from them, because that's like kind of like, it's kind of okay to say that, but also like the artist has liberty to do what they wish. However, you know, I don't think, you know, as an artist,
you should make an album that's as bad as Mania. I really hate this album.
I unfortunately I felt like they were pandering more to the
casual
music industry. The music industry, I mean, like that is, I can go like for hours about that, so we can like do that in another episode or something, because music industry is garbage. Yeah, Panic at the Disco. I can talk a lot about this because I was obsessed. All of them.
We do need to slow down a little, and let's analyze them a bit more, because we're at 18 minutes, and
yeah, bro.
Stretch this out to 40.
Well, we have 6 albums to discuss. We've got 6 albums to discuss, and I can discuss every single song from every single album. So we got plenty to discuss.
All right.
So we can start with the first album, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out.
Album.
Oh yeah, it was their first album, which was 2005.
Here,
I'm looking it up.
Actually, I'm not gonna play it.
I
don't want to get copyright claimed.
Yeah, 2005.
Yep, 2005. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, and they've got these titles like the only difference between martyrdom and suicide is press coverage. London Beckon songs about money written by machines.
Lying is what a girl can have without taking her clothes off.
Exactly. I constantly thank God for Esteban. Like, what kind of titles are these?
And then, oh my God! Like, I read Since Not Tragedies is cool and all, but I think my favorite song of this album is the difference between martyrdom and suicide. I love this song.
And here's the thing, like, people try to like tell me like, you know, I write Since Not Tragedies is bad because, you know, it's overrated or something like that. But like,
it is overrated.
I have to say, like, I completely disagree. And like, people say like they have to pick a favorite from the album, but every single one conveys such a different feeling and such a different like aspect of like
Yeah.
Brendan's like still young, inexperienced mind. It's just so fascinating. I can't pick one.
I'll tell you, which one is the one goes, is it so amazing makes you sweat? Which one is
That's lying is the most fun a girl like
That
can
one?
have without taking clothes off.
That one is awesome, and it really makes me uncomfortable.
Well, that's the point. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you watch the music video, like obviously I'm not entirely sure where the inspiration from it came from. I should do some more research into that. But like it just it's not designed. It's designed to make you uncomfortable. I think the whole point of this entire album is that Brendan and the band were like, because they were still a band effort at this point. They were like,
back then.
they're like, yeah, which believe it or not, that Panic at the Disco was actually a multi-person band.
At one point,
We had
for all you kids out there.
We had Brendan Urie, Ryan Ross. Ryan Ross needs more love. Look up Ryan Ross if you don't know who he is, and listen to like everything that you can. He gets more coverage in Pretty Odd, which we'll talk about next.
Does he have his own thing now?
Yeah, he does. He was actually, I don't remember, but I was actually like on tour, like in my hometown recently.
Northern Downpour.
I know.
I was like, Brian, you're not allowed to do that.
Sure he is. He wrote it.
I know. That one hurt.
Yeah. Anyway, back to like A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. I personally like. It's not my favorite album, but it's really really close.
It might be
And
my favorite Panic album because it's the most rock of any of their albums.
And see, it's like, and they still managed to fuse in like those
Pop
electronic elements.
Which I'm okay with. I'm okay with pop music if it's not just pop music.
And see, the thing is, this is back in 2005, back when we had things like hard house and like trance was starting to become popular. This is when Deadmau5 was like starting to get a start. There were like clear influences of like
Deadmau5.
Bruh, like this is when Deadmau5 started getting popular.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many like hard house and trance influences and things like intermission and introduction, things like that.
Take me back to 2005.
Please.
I want to go. I would love to go back to 2005 as a 19-year-old and just
Please, that would be so much fun.
All right, let's put a time machine and we'll do that. That's all right. That's with the money we make from this podcast.
Let's do it. Anyway, like there's so many things about this album that like I think really were like kind of a coming of age thing for all of them. They were all just thinking, because Ryan Ross actually had a lot to do with writing lyrics for this album. So you just like kind of think, things like but it's better if you do. That's just a song about it's a little complicated, but like the opening line is now I'm of consenting age to be forgetting you in a cabaret, and like talks about being on a club strip joint, and it is just like I'm old enough now, I can do what I want. And I'm not entirely sure about the meaning of it, but basically I feel like there's more things like that too, where like there's a good reason the tables are numbered, honey, that you just haven't thought of it yet. It's more about being in a club, and mine's like haven't you heard that I'm the new cancer, never looked better and you can't stand it. That's just things like that, makes me think, these are still like kids basically. They weren't kids, they were of age, but still.
How old were they?
Actually, let me look.
Brendan couldn't have been more than 20 something.
Google read me. He knows what I'm looking. So Brendan Urie is 32 years old right now, and 2005 was 14 years ago.
Jesus, I feel old.
So, oh my gosh, 22. He was 18.
Oh, my socks smell bad. Wow, he was a baby.
He was 18. And how old is Ryan Ross? Ryan Ross actually older than Brendan Urie. Interesting.
I think Brandon was the youngest one in the band.
You might be right about that.
Interesting fact. I'm sure you know this, but Brendan wasn't supposed to be the singer.
Yeah, I know it was supposed to be Ryan, but then like people heard Brendan sing and were like, "Dude, you gotta be lead." And look how that worked out. He's amazing.
I wonder how it. I really would like to see an alternate timeline where that didn't happen. And Ryan was the lead singer.
I feel like Brendan,
I feel like they'd still be together.
I don't think so. I feel like Brendan would have like been stifled because he's just a lead singer type.
True, but I really would like to see what Panic at the Disco would look like.
Yeah, just imagine. But here's the thing though. Can you imagine like a song like "There's a Reason the Tables Are Numbered, Honey, You Just Haven't Thought of It Yet"? Can you imagine that with Ryan as the vocalist?
I haven't heard Ryan sing enough to pass judgment.
Fair enough. But he's got this like innocent baby voice. Like you can't put him in a role like that or like but it's better if you do because it just doesn't fit right. And Brandon is just so good at like capturing that, or was so good at capturing that emotion like based on whatever song they were performing.
It's really noisy right now, by the way. I knocked my mic over again and I was fixing it.
You're good. You're good. It's just this being their first album. It's like their most raw and their most like
it's the same
like soulful album.
If you listen to I Brought You My Brothers, You Brought Me Your Love, My Chemical Romance, which I will keep bringing up because they're my favorite band. Fuck off. That album is so raw. You got to listen to it soon.
Oh, I will. Trust me.
Like, because we have to cover it.
That
album is so incredibly raw, and Gerard is just throwing his whole soul into that album.
Oh yeah.
Did you know that Frank isn't on that album?
Really?
Yeah, he was a fan. That's how Frank was a MCR fan. After
wow.
Right to My Brothers, You Brought Me Your Love, and then so it's just Ray on that album for guitar. And they're like, we're gonna go on tour, but we might need another guitarist, and they've got Frank.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate fan experience. Like you're such a big fan that you literally get hired by the band to play with for several years.
And you become the guitar. Anyway, sorry. I love MCR, and I will always talk about them. This could be an entire podcast devoted to MCR, but that exists already. They're called My Chemical Fancast. They're really cool. Check them out.
Nice plug.
Yeah. I'm not in it. It's just they're cool people.
Oh yeah. Back to Panic at the Disco.
Should we move on to their next album?
I'm going to be. I was going to segue into that because like there's only so much you can talk. I could talk about that album for hours. I love it to death.
At all.
See, the thing about Pretty Odd is it's.
I will say 9 in the afternoon does not exist. That's not a time because 9 in the afternoon. That's night.
Listen, that's the point. It's not supposed to make sense.
I know. I just like saying that.
Anyway, I haven't listened to this album as much as I should, but I still like absolutely love it. Here's the thing, you remember how like absolutely raw and like pure rock, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out was.
Yeah. Pretty
Odd. This was only 3 years later. It was their second album, and it's
did they lose a member after that? After A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, I forget.
No, they didn't actually. It was the exact same band.
Okay, when did they lose? I know they lost a member.
It was for the third album.
Yeah.
Vices.
Who left then?
After Vices they lost. At Vices they lost Ryan and their bassist.
I thought Ryan was the bassist.
No, I don't think so. Maybe
Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy.
Maybe actually.
All right, I do not know. I can talk about when we get to Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die. I can talk about that album because I know that one.
Okay.
I'm like you and I are like I know Fall Out Boy early. You know Panic early. I know late
Oh yeah,
Panic. You know late Fall Out Boy.
I know all Panic. I'm obsessed with Panic.
You're like me with MCR.
Yeah.
I'm more
Um,
Youngblood. Youngblood is coming up soon, but everybody
okay,
has to listen to more Youngblood before we can talk about him.
I got you.
Maybe we'll
Anyway,
have Milan for the Youngblood episode.
oh, that would be cool. So, Pretty Odd. Just it embodies exactly what I love about musical expression as a whole. Because they had this like their first album. Every time just first impressions. Make everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they set this impression for themselves with their first album, and then they released their second album, and it completely destroyed every single expectation that anybody had about them because it's such a completely different vibe. Like, it's pretty odd. Like, if you just look at the album cover, the album cover of the first album was like really like awkward and promiscuous and like
Mm-hmm.
broken, and this one is like all flowery and pretty
It looks
and
like
like
Wizard of Oz.
yeah, it says "Welcome to Pretty Odd," and it's so like calm and loving and welcoming, and it's
It
like
looks like an Elton John album.
and it kind of feels like one too. Honestly, like not exactly, but um,
Ragged Man.
uh,
Don't
but
copyright
there's
us.
please, but there's tracks like Northern Downpour, like it. I
I
know
know
that's
Northern Downpour. I know some of Northern Downpour. Northern Downpour
Northern
is pretty
Downpour
good.
is I know it's, but like the whole vibe, it's just like nice and calm acoustic, and that's kind of the vibe you get uh, from the whole album. There's not a single heavy song in this entire album, which was like, you know,
Pretty odd.
what? It was pretty odd. That
I'm
and
sorry.
that was their whole thing is like, we're not gonna like conform to who we say we are or who you think we are. We're gonna do what we want to do.
There's a
We're a
meme.
band. We can do what we want.
There's a meme
And
where like this is emo community be like, you, what genre do you listen to? Panic fans, I don't know. My Chemical Romance fans, I don't know anymore. 21 Pilots fans, hell if I know, or something like that. And Fall Out Boy fans, I'm sure Patrick told us at some point, but we couldn't understand him.
I love that. That's beautiful.
What genre is 21 Pilots? And why are there 21 of them?
Actually, I'll explain that later. It's a
That's
really
too
fun.
many pilots. You can't fly a plane with that many pilots.
Actually, I can explain why they're called 21 Pilots if you don't know that
I
already.
don't care.
It's really interesting. You'll like it.
Okay.
Anyway, uh,
If it's not obvious, I really am not a fan of 21 Pilots. I don't dislike them. I just don't know their music, and I don't like. What I've listened to, I didn't like.
what did you listen to?
Just some of the more popular tracks.
That's your problem.
Uh,
um. Anyway, back to Panic. We're really bad at staying on topic tonight,
I don't think
which
it's a big
is
deal.
yeah, that's not a big deal. Anyway, so back to Panic, the Pretty Odd album. I can't cover a lot of the songs in specifics, but it's just got that like really chill vibe that just wasn't there at all in the first album. It was such a departure from their first sound that it just like is really endearing to me. It was shocking at first, like, is this really the same band? I literally, when I listened to it for the first time, I picked up the digipack and it was like I flipped through it to make sure that it was.
Holy shit! Oh my
I
god!
listened to it on the CD. Yeah,
You said
I picked.
Digipack, and I had flashbacks.
I know. I picked up the digipack. I flipped through it to make sure all the band members were the same, and like that it was Panic at the Disco because I was like, "There's no way," and it was, and I was it. It's just as I was just beautiful. I love it so much. Um, I at this point I'll just keep repeating myself, so we can go on to the next album. Um,
By the way,
Vices and Virtual.
I just sent a message about it. Says we're at 33 minutes. We were gonna make this episode 40 minutes long, but I think we might go for an hour or somewhere in between 40 minutes and an hour because there's a lot more we could talk about.
Oh yeah, Panic. I can talk for hours.
So
Um, So Vices and Virtues.
Yes, I don't know this album at all. Well,
This is my favorite album.
I'll listen.
Absolutely.
I'll listen to it tonight.
Absolutely my favorite album. And it this was the point when Ryan Ross left and someone else left, so all they had was Brendan and Spencer. Spencer was the drummer. And actually, fun fact, if you look on the album cover of Vices and Virtues, there's a guy standing in the back with a mask on.
Yeah.
The guy in the photo is Dallin Weeks.
Ah,
That's Dallin Weeks, yeah.
Was Dallin in the band?
He was a backup bassist, actually, but he wasn't officially a member of the band until the next album.
Then he left later.
Yeah, he left after Too Weird to Live, Too Red to Die.
And he made his own band.
Yeah, he made his own thing.
Which is pretty freaking
The
cool.
Brobex, right?
I don't know how, but they found me, right?
Oh.
Isn't that Dallin's band?
It's either that or the Brobex.
Ask Jacob. Jacob would know. Anyway, point is.
Yeah, he told me about both of those bands. So that's why I'm confused.
Friend, by the way.
Yeah, he's cool.
He'll be a guest at some point.
He's
hot.
I don't know how, but they found me is Dallin Weeks.
Yeah, they're decent. They're a pretty decent band. I haven't heard enough to pass judgment, but I liked what I heard so far.
Yeah.
So you talk about Vices for a bit, and then once we get to Too Weird,
okay.
Too Rare.
I just listened to this album again today, and I am so obsessed with it because this really is like I think their peak, because this is the point where Brendan started taking control of the band, but it wasn't in the way that it's gone now, but
wasn't it still Ryan's band up until he left?
Basically, I mean, because Ryan was doing most of the songwriting, which is why things got so different from the first album to the second album, because Ryan did a lot of the writing for the second album, and he left after that. It wasn't anything negative or anything like that, but Brendan and Ryan were just we have two different directions that we want to go. Brendan really liked this rock style, and Brian really wanted to develop his own songwriting, and so they just split up, different musical interests, which is fine. But Vices and Virtues opens with the classic, the Ballad of Mona Lisa. Any Panic fan has to know that song.
Yeah, I don't know it.
You are dead to me.
Just because I don't know Panic.
I'm kidding. It's totally fine.
You didn't know Most of Fall, and you don't know Bullets, so you can fuck right off.
It's okay.
You didn't know what the G note meant.
Hey, don't call me out like this, okay?
I'm about to cancel this man's.
Shut up.
This man has G-noted me on multiple occasions, by the way.
Hey, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about that. All right? All right?
On topic. After I'm done canceling you. Let's get back on topic.
So the Ballad of Mona Lisa is an absolute classic Panic tune. And the whole video is this really steampunk vibe. It's a steampunk funeral kind of thing, and there's more to it than that. But it's such a raw and confusing song, because it doesn't really make sense. But it's this is the peak of Brendan's performance, because he's got things it goes on Let's Kill Tonight, which is really a really sensual song, which was Brendan's whole thing.
Is it Let's Kill Tonight, or is it Let's Kill Tonight, or is it Let's Kill Tonight?
Let's Kill Tonight.
It's saying let's kill a person tonight?
Not necessarily a person, it's just the lyrics are let's kill tonight. Kill tonight. Show them all we're not the ordinary type.
Definitely, I'll listen to this album tonight or tomorrow.
Please do. It's so good.
I promise you'll listen to Bullets tomorrow?
Yes.
Alright, deal. That's what we'll do.
Alright. A lot of the things about on this album are really sensual, which is Brendan's whole thing. He's just got a very sensual songwriting style. Hurricane.
He used to. I'd say nowadays it's not nearly as sensual.
Yeah, because he's appealing to the music industry. Garbage. Anyway.
Had to have high hopes.
Hurricane actually is one of my personal favorites. Are you worth your weight in gold? Cause you're behind my eyelids when I'm all alone. Hey stranger, I want you to catch me like a cold. You and God both got the guns. When you shoot, I think I duck. Like, just lyrics like that. Just he's like appealing to, like, you know, just the sensual fantasies and stuff like that. I know that sounds a little sexual, but I don't care. Like that was his whole thing. He was like kind of dug in just a little bit to make you uncomfortable, but like the choruses were always absolute bangers, so you didn't care. Because it's interesting and it pulls you in. It's like, wait, what is he talking about? And I love the pre-chorus in this song. I led the revolution in my bedroom, and I set all the zippers free. We said no more war, no more clothes, only peace. Oh, kiss me. And like, he just,
Kiss me.
he knows.
Sorry.
And here's the song. Like, all of these songs kind of seem like love songs in a way. I never actually made that connection until now. They all like have some connection with relationships. So Memories actually tells a story. It's the story of a young girl and a
lad.
a guy
A lad.
who, yeah, a lad. Yes. Like
Lad.
they were like both really really young, and like the girl, she says she's the youngest of the family, the last to be let go, and they those two got married, and like they it sounded like it might have been an arranged marriage, maybe. I'm not entirely sure about that, but like it just tells the story of how their love kind of fell apart, and like they thought they were okay, but things didn't work out, and they just couldn't like maintain themselves, and it just tells the story of them falling apart and how love doesn't always work. So it's really sad, but it's a really well written song.
Do you want to move on to the next album?
No, I could talk about this for ages, but I'll wrap up.
Because I have some stuff I want to say about the next album.
Okay. There's just more like trade mistakes. It's a guy like, kind of in denial. Like, this is I love you, and I'd rather have you than my shitty past. And there's just a whole lot more. I love the calendar. Put another X on the calendar. Summer's on its deathbed. I don't know why, but that song just sounds really cool. Nearly Witches is my favorite Panic song ever. Just because, it is a mood. And Sarah Smiles, I think, is really cute because, if you don't know, Sarah is his wife. Sarah is the name of his wife, who, he wrote Death of a Bachelor, the song about. But the first song he wrote about her was Sarah Smiles, back when they started dating.
That's cute.
Yeah, that was 2 albums before they got married. So
2 albums.
Yeah.
That's I like your timeline.
Yeah. There's so much more I could say about this album, but we do need to
How does
move
this
on.
sound? Later on, we can devote it. After I've listened to this album, we'll devote a whole episode to it.
I'm so ready for that.
It'll be
Okay.
It'll be later down the road, but
Yeah,
because I
totally
want to get intimate with it if we're gonna talk about
Oh,
it in
yeah.
the whole episode.
Anyway, we'll segue to the next album. Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die.
And I know this album a bit. I know This Is Gospel. I know Nicotine, and I know Girls, Girls, Boys.
I have to say, I used to think that this was my least favorite Panic album
It's not
because some of the things just really confused me.
It's a bit poppy too.
And things like Girl That You Love, Colorful, The End of All Things, and Far Too Young to Die, those made no sense. Why did he write those? Those didn't make sense. But for the most part, it took me a while, but it grew on me how the songs function and how they fit into his own style of storytelling.
Yes.
Miss Jackson, I liked because it was still kind of his own style, and it started getting into like the weirder parts of his mind.
Girls, Girls, Boys is such a fucking anthem, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's like iconic, you know.
It is the bisexual anthem.
Yes. Hello. It does.
Yes, that should we preface that?
Should we?
We might as well.
Nah.
People are gonna figure that out just from this conversation.
Yeah, I mean we've already dropped it like 12 times. It's fine.
We're both bi.
Yes, hello.
Anyway, that's not important.
No, it's not really.
Nicotine is a bop. I like
nicotine. Nicotine took me so long to actually like when I first listened to it. I was like, why did you write this? What is the point? I was really young and I didn't realize, you know, what he was talking about.
I think it's about. To me, it sounds like it's about a bad relationship.
It's yeah. Well, it's that, and also, you know, just it is about a bad relationship that he's addicted to, and also it kind of is like him confessing that he's addicted to nicotine in like a really subtle way. We can talk about that more later. But anyway,
I think that's another thing for a future episode.
I mean, like the whole idea is like how cigarettes have affected him, which we can talk about when we address the future album. But he's like, you know, just brings up how the I say, damn your kiss and the awful things you do. You're worse than nicotine. It's like,
I thought there was another line in between there. Damn your kiss and the awful things you do. So I've got one more ride, or something like that.
Huh?
I could be wrong.
You might be right. These lyrics might not be official. I'm not sure. But anyway.
I don't know this album well enough to talk about it. I do know the next album. I know Death of a Bachelor pretty well.
Death of a Bachelor.
I know a few. I know Victorious, and let's talk about
okay.
Because
what
Goatee is a bop.
So Death of a Bachelor, as a whole, it's
very pop, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, here's the thing. There are a few songs that I think were okay. There were a few songs that were great. There are a few songs I think were bad. Not gonna lie.
Like Crazy Equals Genius.
I love it because it's that Crazy Equals Genius is Brendan like being Brendan. It's just him like screwing around.
I understand that, respect it. I just don't. I don't like listening to it.
Yeah, that's okay. That's valid. I hate Victorious. I do not like it because it's not Panic.
Yeah,
at all.
It's a good song. It's not a good It's like with Fall Out Boy. You know, actually, no, Mania is just a bad album, but Centuries is a good song. It's a bad Fall Out Boy song.
Yeah. So Death of a Bachelor was released shortly after Brendan Urie got married. Also, this is the first album where Brendan Urie is Panic at the Disco by himself.
Why wouldn't he just change? He's just using the name at this point.
Well, because I
don't know.
Marketing.
Yeah, I know. I know why. It just makes me sad.
Yeah. Anyway, I really liked the song Hallelujah, even though it's really good. It's actually, if you look at the credits, it's actually a huge collaboration between a whole bunch of different, like, really popular artists. One in particular I really like is White Sea.
I don't know who that is.
I'm fairly certain she is like a really amazing vocalist.
LA Devotee is just really fun to listen to.
Yeah.
I've mentioned the
times
because I've been listening to that song a lot recently. It puts me in a good mood whenever I'm depressed, which is a lot.
Yeah. There's songs like Death of a Bachelor, which is the title song, which he wrote for his wife, because it kind of makes sense. It was kind of a point in his life where he's saying, that the old me is dead. Like that was the Bachelor me, if you
for
notice,
sensual
yeah,
Brendan.
yes, and if you notice, actually, in a lot of like, there's not really a lot of songs in this album that are like that.
And Pray for the
Uh,
Wicked has like none of that.
yeah, it's weird. Well, there's
I also don't like that album
the
very much.
Overpass. Um, there's the Overpass, which is kind of, but anyway.
I don't like
Um,
Pray for the Wicked very much.
I'm not a huge fan of it either. But my favorite song from the Death of a Bachelor album, I think, would be Impossible Year, because that actually is like the best vocal performance from this album from Brendan Urie, in my opinion, because he's really opening up, like, um, he's really opening up, like, saying, like, you know, this sucks, like, life sucks,
Don't
it's
Threaten
hard.
Me with a Good Time used to make me so angry. You know why?
Why's that?
Because he stole the Rock Lobster riff.
Oh, everyone steals the Rock Lobster riff.
That's fair, but still.
Yeah, it was kind of a big thing, actually. Um, but anyway,
Well, because people would be like, "Is that don't no?" I play Rock Lobster. Be like, "Oh, no, it's not Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time. It's fucking Rock Lobster." You.
but
I love irrational love for that song.
it's a really cool song. There's another thing. Oh wait, we were just talking about the same thing that
Fall Out Boy did.
Fall Out Boy did.
Just
But Panic
stole
did it
that
better.
thing.
Panic did it better.
Yeah, well, Fall Out Boy just took the thing. At least and at least when Panic did, they did something cool with it.
Yeah, Centuries isn't like awful, but
Really
it's
hate
not.
Centuries. I hate it.
It'd be like that. Um.
But I love Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time, and I will say, Pray for the Wicked. I do not dislike every song of that album.
I have to say, when I went into it, like, with the expectations, when I listened to the full album, the only songs I knew were the first three. Uh, Actually, the first two, "Fuck a Silver Lining" and "Saturday Night."
Why the
Um,
fuck in parentheses?
because it's called Silver Lining, but the lyrics also could say "Fuck a Silver Lining." So it's just an alternate title.
Say Amen. Saturday Night is. I like that song.
I really like that. The video makes me incredibly uncomfortable. I don't really know who wrote it, and I don't like it.
But I love the pump.
It's just Brendan, like, killing people that are trying to break into his house. It's really weird.
But no, I love Saturday Night. I really like that one. And
There are so many references to alcohol.
It's the most overrated song ever written.
Yes, I hear it on the radio way too much.
Yes.
It's like, ugh.
And here's the thing: I will still bop to High Hopes, no matter
Yeah.
I'm still gonna bop to it because it's a good song.
It's a bop, but it's
so overrated.
and there's so many like references to alcohol on here, and this is one of the points I was trying to make earlier. Brendan is like, he does so much, like, alcohol and cigarettes, that he just, like, is kind of ruining his voice, and the vocal performances on Pray for the Wicked are nothing compared to what he used to be. And I know he's, like, older, but he's 32 years old.
He's not that old.
Yeah, this is the prime of his life. This is when his vocal range should be, like, at its peak.
I mean, look what Gerard was doing. He was 30 fucking 6.
Yeah, exactly. And the only song, like, that from this song, that I can say that I really got any, like, real emotional connection to, that I think really felt like Panic, was "Dying in LA." I really like "Dying in LA." It
I don't know.
it kind of, part of it felt like he was copying the closer from the last album, which was "This Impossible Year," because it's got the same vibe. But at the same time, I think it also kind of functions as a sequel to "LA Devotee."
I love LA Devotee.
Yeah, because he's just like, LA is my home, but it's more than just my home. It's like, it's it's wrapped him up. It's encapsulated him, and he can't leave. And it's starting to overwhelm him. That's at least what I'm getting from it.
Yeah,
But like every other song, like Old Fashioned and One of the Drunks, those are like
Run of the
drunk
Drunks
songs.
is fun.
No, I disagree. I don't. I just it makes me uncomfortable to see him referencing alcohol so much because it's such a problem for him. It's ruining his voice.
No, I agree. I just think it's a fun song to listen to. In that it is good pop.
Good pop, but see, that's not what I want. That's not what Panic is supposed to be.
But I will always acknowledge when a song is objectively good.
I mean, yeah.
It's not a good song to me, but pop is always going to be objectively good because it sells.
See, but that's the thing. Music is always subjective.
Music is an industry.
Music is subjective, always. Musical expression, musical interpretation is always objective. One of my biggest complaints about this music industry is that everything is all about bangers anymore. Everything's got to be a bop. Everything's got to like really hit.
I miss bangers. I'm sick of bops. I want bangers again.
But even then, like nothing means anything anymore. Nothing that actually like sells means anything. Even if the lyrics are meaningful or like supposed to be deeper, like emotional.
That's where
See, anything emotional is not performed emotionally.
I disagree with you on some. That's a bit of a broad statement. It's rare nowadays.
It's really hard to find. Like the only artists I found that really are okay with expressing themselves are like
Youngblood,
Cave Town, and AJR. And AJR is completely independent.
Youngblood.
I don't know enough about Youngblood, but
trust me, I've seen him live. He cares, and he's very emotional.
Okay, live shows are completely different from the music industry.
And also, just listen to Youngblood, and you'll see what I mean. Ask Como about it, and you'll see what I mean. He's real.
I got you.
I can 100% vouch for the fact that he's real.
All right, I got you. But anyway,
it's about time we wrapped up.
Yeah, so this was like kind of a really long-winded rundown of how, like, two of them like great bands in the emo scene.
The rise and fall.
Yeah, they started like.
God.
They started.
Fuck, For Pork Tree is so fucking good. Like, Pork Tree is exactly the type of music I want to make.
And I Write Sins Not Tragedies is kind of an emo anthem.
Oh yeah, not as much as Welcome to the Black Parade. Welcome to
the Black of course
Parade is always the emo anthem.
It's the emo anthem, of course, but like it's
the big three emo songs are Welcome to the Black Parade, I Write Sins Not Tragedies, and Sugar We're Going Down.
Yeah, exactly. Even though that one's literally just about
I want to
fuck her. But stop fucking her.
Yeah, stop fucking her. I want to fuck her. That's what that is. It's literally what the lyrics is. It's watching you from the closet, wishing there's no friction in your jeans.
Yeah, which is really creepy, but also very Patrick.
It's very Patrick. I'm just watching you two from the closet. Patrick, get out of the closet.
Nice.
Patrick, get out of the closet. Eat you two. I'm sorry. We do not ship Pete. Wait, what's the ship name? They're both
P-Trick.
P-Trick.
That sounds really bad.
P-Trick. We don't ship band members usually.
No, that's weird.
Don't do that.
That's like shipping Brendan and Ryan, and that's no.
Just don't ship band members.
Yeah, you just don't do that.
Unless it's
because it always inevitably is a heartbreak.
Yeah, and don't ship real life people. Just don't do that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. You can ship fictional characters all you want, but real life people are real life people. Don't do that.
Yeah. Anyway,
especially if they're kids.
So, yeah, okay. Let's not go there.
Yeah. Billie She's a kid. Leave her alone. She's 17.
She doesn't know how to music. She's a piece of garbage. I'm sorry. I wish, she'd be just fine. She's an amazing vocalist. Mm-hmm. That is all she is. She doesn't write her own music. She doesn't She doesn't write her own lyrics. She does nothing except sing, and she like has
Such potential.
and like it
At the
just it
same
makes
time, you keep in
sad.
mind she's a kid. She's 17.
Yeah, that's another issue. Like, why is she doing this? Why is she allowed to do this? Like, why is
This is another whole episode.
yeah? We'll talk about that later.
I don't hate Billie Eilish. I think she's a good musician. I like her music, but
She's okay, but just you know,
Bad Guys is a super overplayed song.
yeah, it's just yeah. Anyway, I
think that's
think
about it for this episode.
yeah. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. It was a fun ride. I don't know if you noticed, but I talked a little too much, I think.
Guys, I took a pee break in the middle of the episode. I just left.
It was really funny. He just messaged me, and I saw the Discord notification pop up. I was like, "Wait, what?" I freaked out.
Gotta pee.
I freaked out, and I was like, "Whoa, okay. I guess I'll keep going." I was rambling a little bit, but I was on my favorite album, so it was fine. You picked a good time.
Yeah, I knew it was a good time. All right. Anyways, that's it for this episode, guys. See you in the next one.